Hi everyone, today's the day we've all been waiting to start our advent calendars from Crafter's Companion. So let's open it up and see what we have on number 1. So inside we have our Santa with the Christmas tree, and number 1 is right here. Alright, so let's see what we have. Alright, so it's the door that goes all the way this way. I see a stamp and I see dies. Let's see. So we have a stamp with a coffee cup with some whipped cream, a cookie, some candy canes, a cinnamon stick, and a piece of holly. And it looks like we have a die for the cup, the whipped cream. Looks like every piece has a die. Oh, this is like a drip. And then we have one for the holly, the candy cane, and the cookie. All right, well, let me go gather my things and let's see what we can make with this. All right, so I've decided I am going to make a stepper card. And this is out of my Foldopedia that I have here, my hard copy. So what I've done is I've taken each of the templates that I'm loading onto the blog, and I make one, just a plain one out of plain paper or even scrap paper. And then I have all the measurements in here. So to make a stepper card, you're going to need a 10 by 7 piece of paper. I'm going to flip this way, make a little bit more sense. So you're then going to score at 1 inch, at 2 inches, at 5 inches, and 1. There, I'll put it this way. So we're going to have 1 inch over on either side. So you're going to score it at, you're going to cut it at 1 inch and at 6 inches. You're going to go 6 inches down and from the 1 inch line. So from 1 inch to 6 inch, you're going to cut on both sides. Then you will score at the 1 inch and 2 inch side. I'll leave that there for a second. I'll move this up. So for your mats, you're going to need 2 that are 3 3/4 by 3/4, 1 that is 6 3/4 by 3/4, and 1 that is 4 by 3/4 by 4. And then your layers will be, 1/4 inch smaller than that. You'll want 3.5 by 1.5 by 1/2, 6.5 by 1/2, 4.5 by 3 3/4. And this will be listed on the blog as a template that you can just print out. So don't worry about having to get it from this. There's a clear download there. And if you do have a machine like a Cricut, a Silhouette, Scan and Cut, any of those, there is an SVG which has everything cut into it, and that's really nice because that's what I've done with mine. And so now anytime I want to make a stepper card, I just open up the file and I put a piece of paper in my machine and it cuts the lines for me, and it cuts all the folds in, all the scoring lines, and then I just have to take it out and fold it. And there are matten layers on there also, so you don't have to measure it every time. But there is a template if you don't have a machine. So then you can go ahead and just start making yourself pages like I did, where you can just put your templates on there, and then you'll end up with a book. I have, I'll grab it. I have put all mine in this book here, and then when you open it, it just has all the different kind of cards: decorative panel cards, easel cards, edged cards, gatefold cards, just like it's listed on the blog. But this is actually my hard copy that I work from. So we have our 10 by 7 piece of paper, and I have scored at 1 inch, 2 inches, and 5 inches. My cut line to make this cut here, I'll hold it this way so you can see it, starts at the 1 inch line and goes up to 6. And it is an inch from an inch. This is an inch wide. So mark in an inch. So if you're going to do this the first time in making yourself one, you're going to go across the bottom, and you will want to mark an inch, and it's 6 inches. And you'll want to come up here, and we'll mark 1 inch and 6 inches. But then you'll need to measure along those dots to 6 inches. So now you know from here to here is where you're going to make a cut on this side. You'll do the same thing on here. So you'll go up to 6 inches and 1 inch. Measure it over an inch. Put your line. Take a second spot. Make another dot. And you can take your knife and start at one line, go down to the other dot to make your slot, and then you will just fold at 5 inches, 1 inch, and 2 inches on either side. And definitely look at that template. Just download it and start yourself your own book. So then for the mat layers, and on the template you'll see that there is one, if you want to make this front part here all one piece, there is a template for that if you don't want to do it in 2 pieces. But this one, I think I'm going to put a second greeting on this one, so I think I'm going to put something across the bottom here. So this will go across the bottom for the mat, and this will go here. This piece will go here. These are the two 3 3/4 by 3/4, and this one is 3/4 by 6 3/4. And this is the 4 3/4 by 4. And I did it that way because when you lay it down, yes, it does come past. Open this so you can see it. It does come past this a little bit, but if you make it a complete square, what you end up with when you put this bottom piece on is that you end up with a lot of space in between. And this is just personal preference. I prefer the look of it when it's like that and there's less space there. That's just personal preference. You can cut it off if you want to. It's your card. All right, so that's what we have for that. Now for stamping tonight, I'm using new ink. I got the incase, I don't know, I'm going to mispronounce this, Algaman ink. And the reason why I bought this is because you can use it for alcohol markers, colored pencils, and watercolors. It's one ink in black. You can use it on anything. And I don't have to think about it anymore about what I'm going to use. Unless the only thing I have to think about is if I'm using regular paper or watercolor paper. But this won't smear with anything. So that's what I'm going to be using for stamping tonight. And we have our stamps, which I need a stamping platform. Alright, so I have my small stampers and I have my stamping platform. Not sure which way we're going to go with this yet. Alright, so let's get some paper. And I'm going to cut this in half. I need that much. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's look. Alright, so it looks like the cut line is pretty much in the middle. Alright, so that should be fine. So let's go ahead and stamp these first. And I'm just going to stamp them all. We'll probably use more of the cookies. All right, let's see how the new ink goes. Now this is without prepping these stamps at all, and these stamps appear to be acrylic. They're not photopolymer. All right, so let's see what happens. Oh, they stamp pretty good. Wow. Look at that ink. Okay. All right, I'm sold. I am sold on that ink. Let's put the stamps back on here before I lose track. And actually, let's go ahead and stamp out another cookie and another candy cane. Well, we have it here. All right, now let's color these in. Let's see, I pulled out my tri-blends. I pulled out earth brown, muted brown. I figured that would be good for the chocolate chips and the cookies. I then have red. I do have some illustrators, and I am going to use the illustrator for the candy canes, because if you look at the difference between the nibs, let me get really close. There we go. You can see the difference. The illustrator does have a much smaller nib than the tri-blends does. So when you're doing something small, the illustrator really does make a difference. Because the ink is the same and the nib itself is made out of the same materials. It just is a lot smaller. Let me grab the other paper. Since these are alcohol markers, it is going to bleed through. And that way it won't smear. It will just go back. The extra ink will be absorbed into the paper underneath. All right, so let's color the cookies. The cookies I'm going to do in muted brown 1. Oh, part of me just wants to take out a watercolor just to make sure this doesn't smear. Okay, so I'm going to use, let's see, maybe this color. Yeah, I'm going to use Earth Brown 3 for the chocolate chips, I think. All right, so there's our chocolate chip cookies. Now, let's see, we need red for the holly berries. Let's see, I need a light brown for the cinnamon stick. Let's see what color that looks like. That'll be good. Put a little bit of a little bit darker in there. All right, now I need a green for the holly. All right, now the whipped cream, I really just want to give it a little bit of shading. So I'm just going to use a little, let's see, I think gray brown, brown gray 2, I think. Nope, you know what? Changed my mind. I'm going to use brown gray 1. And I'm just going to go around in different parts. Just so when it dries, it will have a little bit of shading to it. Won't look quite so flat. That's probably all that needs. So the cup. What color shall we make the cup? Let's see, maybe a yellow green. That's probably good. So let's see. So if it's a stoneware cup, cut everything out. Grab some tape. All right, so let's see what we have here. So if this paper was 4 3/4 by 4, would help if I was using inches, was 4 3/4 by 4. So now I need a white piece of paper that is going to be 4 1/2 by 3 3/4. Let's take all That's what we want for that. Alright, so now we get to decide how we want to arrange these. So we're going to have our cup. And this says, this is something I had from last year. It says Sweet Christmas Wishes. I was thinking of maybe putting this up in the corner maybe. Put the cup here. We'll have some of this. Some of this I'm going to put up on foam. We'll have this here. We'll have a nice little stack of cookies. We'll have some candy canes. Let's see, we can have this, since this is all different pieces. How about do it that way? That there. And we'll find a place for the holly. And there. So now we just need some background there because that is really white. Let's take this off. Now that that's going to work. All right, so we probably want to do a table and a background. All right, let's try this here. Just got these gelatos and I haven't used them a lot yet. So let's use these. And these you can either apply with your finger, you can apply with water. So we're just putting a little bit of a surface here. We just don't want our cup floating in midair. There. That's good for that. Now in the background, oh, actually, this is metallic icing. Let me see something here. I'm going to have it on my hands. Not giving it too much shine. I think if I used water, it would probably give it more. Just going to put some on here. And I'm going to spritz it. So I can do this a little faster. Make sure I picked up water, not alcohol. And just my big brush. And we're just gonna pick up the color and just put some color on this, just so it's not white. There, that's probably enough. I don't know if you can tell, but there's blue on there now. They'll look better than just the white. Yeah, so now Yeah, that's better. All right, this needs to dry. It's almost dry. All right, let's get the stamping platform back over here. I'm going to stamp this over here because this will be here. Put this on top. And this will be here, and the cookies will be over here. So I think this is probably a good place to put that. Okay. Oh, and I just damaged the paper. You see, you can erase your smudges. See, smudges are gone. All right, so this is going to be on here. So our mug will be flat. I think this will be up on foam pad. This will be behind it. So let's see here. Let me grab my glue and my thinner foam. Yeah, this foam is much thinner. It's actually picture mounting foam, but does the job. So this here is the Karen Berniston fine tip bottle. Some of you haven't seen it. It has a needle attached to the inside, which is a really long needle. Once you screw this down, it goes all the way through. And so far, I've done about 5 projects now, and it has not clogged. It's operating correctly. So far, this bottle's a winner. All right, so let's get this out of the way. Because I have a love-hate relationship with these fine tip bottles. I have thrown a lot of them out. Because they just clog, they rust. Alright, so let's put this up on some foam. Cut that off a little bit. And we need our drip. All right, this also should be raised up a little bit. This is really small, so I'm going to put some 3D glue on here. If anybody's not familiar with this, this is Collel 3D glue. It comes in a tube, and then you put it in here to actually use it. You can use it out of here, but it's too big for what I'm doing right now. And you can use this instead of foam. And what I like about this is because it is so small, so that you can get into some really tiny little places and put the gel on there to support it. It is silicone, and it takes about a half an hour for it to set up. So you have to make sure you don't smash it for the next half hour. I think I want to bring this down just a little bit underneath. Changing my mind here. I think I'm going to slide it underneath the foam, the whipped cream on top. All right, so I've got a little extra there. Paper towel, wipe that off. All right, so now this is going to slide underneath. This is our cinnamon stick. We'll have our cookies. Let's see. Yep, now my hands are sticky from the silicone. I think maybe we'll do it that way instead of in a pile. All right, so the first one I will glue down straight. A little overzealous with the glue. Then these two, I will use the gel. The other thing about the gel is that you can angle your things that you're gluing down. Where when you use foam, it's going to be flat. It's going to be the height of the foam. And it's not a matter of shaping or not shaping. It's because you can always shape it. But it's actually angling it differently. So like I can have this touching here, but sticking up. So it can stick up that way. All right, so the camera died, and I didn't realize it at first and kept going. So this is the card I ended up with, and so let's try this again. So this is where we're going. So I'm just going to remake it. So I went back to where the camera died. So we had the cup on here, we had the cookies on here. So now we need to glue on the candy canes. Let's see, this one's in a slightly different spot. All right, so we have our candy canes on there. So I'm going to glue this to the mat. I thought I grabbed the same color blue, but it looks a little darker. That's all right. They all don't have to be exactly the same. Yeah, I was just crafting along, and then when I was finished, I looked at it and the camera was off. All right, so we'll attach this to the middle. Get that centered. I need a little more glue here in the corner. All right, so now let's work on these side pieces. So I have a piece here that is bigger than what the two sides are. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the stamp, and our ink, put the lid on there, and we're going to just stamp. I'm going to stamp off the page a little, stamp in the middle, one more there, maybe a little bit on there, a little bit that way. That looks good. Now we'll go back and color it. Same colors as we did before. The MB1. There we go. Now I only need a 1/2 inch each of these because this layer here is only a 1/2 inch. So now I'm just going to cut this down. But this way, I definitely was going to be off the edge. It always looks better when you're doing something like this and then you cut it down. It actually looks like more like paper instead of you trying to get it all on there. Looks a little more natural. There we go. See, so now it definitely looks like everything's hanging off the edge. And that looks a lot better. All right, so we will glue these to here. We'll center this. Glue the other one. All right, and these will get glued on the steppers. All right, now the front, what I did on this one is I took a piece of paper that was slightly shorter and I stamped the 3 holly on there. And I think I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stamp in the middle. Stamp on the end. Stamp on the other end. There. This is a mono sand eraser, M-O-N-O. You can buy them on Amazon. All right, so now I need green. And I will do, let's see. I think I decided I like the lighter color better. See. Got a little carried away here. Use the blending pen. Try to get rid of this a little bit. That should be good. All right, now I need red, and I'm going to use the small nib again from the Illustrator. These berries are tiny. All right. This will get glued onto here. There we go. And this will get glued onto the bottom. All right, so next we will do the inside, which on the inside I like to do something that is smaller than the big step here in the, well, the big main part here in the middle, because that way you won't see it on the side where the step is. So this is just a, the red is 3 by 3. Then this is 2 6/8. I think I did it. Yeah, 2 6/8. And you can do it any size you want. I just wanted a little frame on this one. down. And I have a Sending Festive Cheer. This is left from last year. I'm going to put it slightly closer to the top, so I have room to sign it on the bottom. So I'm purposely not centering it. And again, I'm using the Gina K ink because it's good for stamping too, for just stamping a sentiment. It's nice and black. And Gina K does sell re-inkers. And she also sells her ink in small cubes, if you'd rather try it out with a little cube and see if you like her ink. Here we go. Pull this off. Put that to the side. Let's glue this together. Actually, slice this in the middle. Okay. So all we have left is some gems. Whoops, put my head right in there. To connect these, I'm going to use Gina K Connect Glue. And I'm going to lay this flat. This is my first tube of Gina K Connect Glue, so I'm still a little cautious when I start squeezing it, until I get an exact feel for how much to squeeze. I'm going to put one big one up here. And I'll put a small one right here. And let's see if I can find another small one. Small one right here. Put these back. And these are the gems I still have left from the year of craft. I think there was enough gems in there to last us a lifetime. Alright, so the only other thing I did with my original is I took a sparkle pen and because this is safe to use with watercolors and ink and alcohol, I can go over this with the sparkle pen and it's not going to make it smear, which is really quite nice. And then I took some glossy highlights and I went over the candy canes. there it is. So now we have 2. And next time, I will be double checking the battery on the camera. So there we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you again tomorrow with door number 2. Until then, stay crafty.